Hey everybody, it's Z from the Quest. Um, this one's kind of long, but it's really different. I'm going to try to read it without emotion, so bear with me if you want to know it. You can also read it, at the Quest ECSS.com, .org, or EndingChildSexSlavery.org. If you'd rather do that, you can. This is the mission report for September. Yeah. So anyway, I was on another job, and so um, it became really convenient to take care of this, and it's been something we've been kind of wanting to do for a while. Um, so I was in Houston, and we got a call from help from several missionaries south of us. We made arrangements, very easy, with no big C restrictions. It looks like we have a new enemy now since we've entered this area, um, and they have an army. So we can just add that to our list. Um, the first challenge we faced would be to cross the border, and we loaded up in a Humvee and headed to the area. Uh, we had the most promise of not being detected, getting across the border and all. And it turned out to be really easy. We just joined several other trucks going both directions across the border. Uh, Loads of drugs and women and children. We did not see any men except for driving. We did not know at the time that this would be the least of the sadness we would experience on this mission. We made our way to a private airport and got transportation to the location we would be working from. We knew we would need a lot of help from the locals here, and with the cargo that we chose to save, this area was actually inviting us to do this work. That's really new for us, and vetting them was really easy and overwhelming. There were so many. I mean, this was kind of an unbelievable situation. They would do anything for us. Everyone we interviewed was organic, and you could see the light coming from their hearts. You knew at that moment when it was like when you knew you were you were bathing in purity. Uh, this is one of those moments. We asked for transport, and they provided us with a large selection of anything we could dream of. It was really weirding us out. We had so much help coming from so many places. Anyway, the area had many exit points, and that we could take the kids out. And we had 30 teammates with a lot of spotters, not just spotters, but families, business owners, police, military, and just about anything you can think of. This had problems associated with it, though, but it was controlled. Before I got there, there was a meeting of the local leaders with our team, not all government, but private individuals. My team had laid down the law over a 10-hour meeting explaining how it would work and what they were needed to do. The central people had strict orders to stick to our rules. These people were over the top eager to save these kids. That was the biggest problem we faced, other than the gangs. In a way, we gave it a military form. Each had levels of command. This way, it was several small community groups. We also had to face concern of people talking. Um, this is why we faction it in small groups, but with many groups. Also, only a few knew exactly what we would be doing and where. Each of us wore identifying marks so that the leaders could choose. The leaders that we chose would know it was us in the situational situations. This way we could go undetected with only a few knowing it was us and act accordingly. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's like you have a whole bunch of people eager but not knowing what to do, but we're willing to do anything, to get this accomplished. And so with that creates a lot of problems. Not problems that we're used to, but that's why we divided them all up into smaller groups and then only used certain people, a few people that would actually know exactly what we were doing. That way they couldn't fumble into the way and cause a lot of chaos. Anyway, in a nutshell, we had great people willing to do anything to save these kids, and that meant total chaos. So we gave them all jobs, enforced the truth that to break our rules would mean failure and would have the opposite effect of the mission at hand. So at any moment that it went south, we would cut and run. Death was not part of our plan for anyone. To note success with this would have locals taking care of all the needs of the rescued. This point on, no worry in this one, unlike the struggle we have everywhere else. That is one of the biggest reasons that we will make this happen. We would be working in open areas of the city. Unlike other rescues, this would only be to our advantage but unfamiliar. The standard in and out would be normal, but the liberation would be fully based on let the situation determine the action. The area was overrun with illegals and major gangs, so we would step softly with a big stick. Each teammate, hold on. Each teammate would have many of our eyes on them and ready to solve any problem that could arise. These illegals had crippled the locals in so many ways. They had set up shops right in front of their businesses. They had totally trashed the city, using any open space to leave bodily fluids, violence, rape, torture, murder. And there was always one of them looking for somebody else to kill. The locals are held captive to the situation in every aspect of their lives. If something good could happen, it could and would do so much, make such a difference to stop them feeling so hopeless. It was a time bomb waiting to go off. Maybe our job could turn all this around, so we committed. We had an interview with some of the media down there that's actually doing the real work of media. They gave us the info that we needed to make our plans. We roamed the streets, each team with certain areas with an overwatch guiding them. The goal was to save these infants that were being sold and given to gang members and those with nefarious actions. Our intel that was given to us was to locate males with infants and ask them where their mother was. The unidentified answer, or the unified answer, was that they had a fight with their wife, so they brought this kid with me. So you understand, it wasn't their kid, and this was one of the ways to identify that, according to the media guys, and we found it to be absolutely true. Every one of them had the exact same answer. When we took the kid, if there was no resistance, we knew the kid was trafficked. None of them ever gave any resistance. FYI, each of these kids were abused and had damage to their bodies. They were flung around like luggage. This is constant, and you can see it on a lot of the media that's down there just filming this. I mean, that's how present it is. Anyway, they're dropped and drug across the ground. Anytime they are on the move, the male would carry the child by the arm without touching the ground. Most of the children are not able to walk on their own. We did not need a good degree in rocket science to know what we were seeing. This is why we were contacted and had the support of the entire community. Knowing how horrifying it was for them to see this, they were in fear of their lives each and every day. These people, they could not do nothing, and some have died trying to save these kids. So I think you can understand how this all came to be. We are not just rescuing children, but an entire city. We moved in 2 by 2, each in their own area. First one was approached, and once confirmed the kid was saved, but a gang member was spotted watching the team by the Overwatch, and they waited to see if there was any action or movement from the gang member. But he looked and did not move. He just continued to eat his food. After the child was rescued, the team continued to watch the gang member, and he did nothing but watch everyone. If he chose to be a threat, we would know it, and by then it would be too late for him. Now we notified everyone of just what happened and would adapt to this. We avoided anywhere we found gang members. We picked up one by one, and every single time we got the same answer we were told, and they would give us the child. None resisted and almost seemed relieved. The majority of the infants were barely alive. It was wearing hard on the team witnessing these events. It reached a point that it was getting so risky that the teammates were getting overdaring. The witnessing of the horror that was begging to have an effect on the safety of us and the locals. So I called it. We could have been doing this for hours and hours and hours. I mean, that's how bad this has gotten. But I called it, and we had acquired at that time 33 infants and 22 slightly older that could walk, but their feet were in such bad condition walking wasn't happening. The transports had several nuns that were not like nuns we were used to. They were warriors. They actually were glad we were actually glad they were on our side. No matter how tough we knew they were, they had this touch and beauty about them that just made you feel safe, and they were so bright. The children were in good hands. There would be no worries about this part. We traveled sometime on really difficult roads to the locations, and there was never a threat of shadows. Still, we followed our protocol. No safe house were needed due to the remote areas we were going. Many of the nuns were from other locations that came together to assist us. This may have been our first rescue that we were just a few gears in the engine. It was almost like it was supposed to be. And just imagine an entire city working with you. And there's so many factions. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Within that, you have the politics, then you have, the police, and then you have the United Nations, and then you got the military, the National Guard of Mexico, and there's just so many people involved, and all but the politicians were with us. So you can kind of imagine, but it all had to be done without public knowing. So, because we were the public though. So anyway, I think this is the quietest I think that I have ever experienced in a rescue. No one spoke. Everybody was on the verge of a tear, but they did not come except for the one Marine who just joined us, as you remember. She's a crybaby. Hope she's watching this. Anyway, after a few hours, we were informed that all the all would make it, but some would be touch and go till they were filled with food and love. It was the same at all the locations the kids were taken to. It was also the first time we all got fed. Of course, we did not sit at a table. The food was brought to us at our lookout positions. We would be there till morning before we all went our separate ways. Then at 5 in the morning, the nuns began showing us around to all the things that needed fixed and where the materials were. I got everyone moving, but to move out, but most of them got captured by the nuns. I, with three others, escaped and got back to my other work. So anyway, that gives us, we had a previous total of 2,055. This rescue was 55. So we have a new total of 2,110. So anyway, bless you. Enjoy.